Cinema Worms.
Discussing everything from Grima Wormtongue to the Shy Halib.
I'm Sabib.
And I'm Lindz.
And this is Cinema Worms Podcast. Sean Connery turned down roles in The Matrix, The Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones 4, and Blade Runner. Today, I alone, because Zaboo didn't come to see this film with me, will be talking about a Minecraft movie. So, directed by Jared Hess, the single name under which the married filmmakers Jared Lawrence Hess and Jerusha Elizabeth Hess work. You might know them for films, amongst others, 2004's Napoleon Dynamite. The film, a Minecraft movie, was written by like 5 different screenwriters, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It stars Jason Momoa, Jack Black, Daniel Brooks, Emma Myers, Sebastian Hansen, and unexpectedly Jennifer Coolidge. So essentially, the prologue, which was I didn't expect and was a little longer than I would have enjoyed, shows us that Jack Black finds this cube and it pulls him into the overworld, which is essentially what Minecraft, the game, is kind of based in. It is this bizarre sort of cubic wonderland where you can build anything you like. Everything is sort of cubic. The sheep are cubic, the cows are cubic. There is a joke later about how Jack Black is so round and therefore not cubic in this world. He kind of stands out. Jack Black sort of carves a niche out for himself here by being really creative and enjoying this. He builds lots of houses, which is something that, you know, people enjoy doing in Minecraft, and he tames a dog who he calls Dennis from wolf form, which is also something you can do in the video game. And one day, after something else happens, he discovers that there is an additional portal which leads to the Nether, a realm that is very kind of hellish. Dante would have had an absolute field day with this, inhabited by these sort of orc-like, half-naked but also half-orcy creatures called piglins, who are ruled by a single sort of sorceress who abhors creativity and any kind of art. And she only believes in gold, and she believes that everyone should forgo art and leisure in their life. And she has no trouble reducing any of her piglins with a single stab of her staff to a floating pork chop. So that's your prologue. I wish we had actually seen that as the film, even the entire film, because that would have been pretty fun to watch. But we're quite quickly pushed along to meet the child character played by Sebastian Hansen, Henry/Hank, and his sister, who is played by Emma Myers. His sister has decided to move them to this small town, as it was their mother's dying wish for some reason, which seems like it could have been a joke, but wasn't. And so they turn up at this quite odd place where even the locals are a bit strange, and they're all really obsessed with like the mascot of this potato chip factory. And we also meet Jason Momoa, who once was a infamous, locally anyway, video game legend. He won a particular competition in 1989, and now is a washed up owner of a video game store. So those three, together with Daniel Brooks, who you will remember from playing Tasty in Orange is the New Black, and who I'm delighted to see getting work, though I'm sad that it is this film, but you know, a girl has to eat. Those 4 end up getting pulled into the portal and eventually discover that they are in Minecraft as well. Now, Henry, as a kid, is very sort of highly rooted in engineering. He's a bit of a nerd, and he wants to build like rockets and be that kind of, you know, scientist engineer. So he finds it quite easy to adapt to the Minecraft world. The adults find it a little harder. A problem that I had with this film is that they did set up Momoa's character to be this really interesting kind of video game legend, and even though he's washed up now, there's only one point in the film where he actually builds something, and it ends up being a failed attempt. It's set up as a joke. I'm not really sure what the point was of having his character be specifically a video game legend if they don't showcase that skill at all. Like he sort of takes, or he tries to take Henry under his wing, but it doesn't really work because he never actually really shows him anything. There's no kind of skill that he kept from his old days that he could kind of shine with now, or anything like that. I wouldn't call this film a hot mess. I would call it a tepid clutter. It is, maybe if I had not seen Death of Unicorn only a week or so prior, I would feel a little harsher about a Minecraft movie, but I did, and therefore I don't. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not really anything. It is a little bit soulless. It does feel as if the film was written by AI as a skeleton and was never fleshed out. As someone who has played Minecraft the video game, I understood most of the references. That didn't really make it land for me. I think there was only one time I actually laughed out loud. I maybe smirked a couple of times. It was a relatively empty theatre because I was afraid of going into one of the weekend showings, because there's been a lot of things in the news about people going to crowded screenings and standing up at certain points of the film, cheering, throwing popcorn. Someone actually brought a live chicken to release during the chicken jockey scene, and there's the poor video of the poor chicken running around in the lobby afterwards. I hope that chicken is given a good home somewhere quiet and never has to think about Minecraft for the rest of its life. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I can see why a lot of people went to it. I can see why a lot of money has been made from this film. Unfortunately, it does sort of feel like a buttered pig. It just slides right through your hands. There's very little that I can think about to specifically criticize or specifically praise. When Zabib asked me last night about how I felt about it, I compared it to the Super Mario Brothers film, which came out, I think, last year. And even in showing a brief clip of that, you could see immediately, like, how different it was. That even in a fight scene where Mario is pitted against Donkey Kong, you can see that there's tension. Mario is not immediately given the chance to win. He in fact gets thrown around and beaten up like multiple times, and trying different things before he eventually succeeds. And it felt like the Minecraft movie was putting one obstacle in front of a character, and then letting that obstacle gently slide away like melted ice cream. Nothing ever felt tense or dramatic. It didn't feel particularly funny. I was expecting some humor in visual gags, but the closest we came to that was the piglins occasionally being turned into pork chops, or a chicken who had lava poured on it being turned into like a drumstick. Again, that's not actually very funny. The one real potential that this film had was the sort of side character that Jennifer Coolidge plays, who's the headmistress of Henry's school. And she is divorced. She overshares when she first meets him. And there's what could have been really quite funny. A villager from Minecraft, who is a sort of non-speaking NPC, accidentally escapes into a real world, and she ends up going to dinner with him and saying, how good of a listener he is. There was one joke during this dinner that I think was so bad that I think my humour actually inverted. I don't know if I've very often felt that there was the opposite of a laugh in my body, but it certainly provoked that feeling. I felt like I dipped into negative humour space for a moment. It upset me because Jennifer Coolidge, who is a little bit riffing here on her work on The White Lotus, as Tanya, who is a fan favorite character, and there's very similar vibes going on with like this person who is sweet and endearing but kind of oblivious. And again, also Jennifer Coolidge played a very similar character in Legally Blonde with Reese Witherspoon, and it could have been so funny. I just feel like it didn't at all. It was the one thing that absolutely should have landed and would have been a nice aside for the adults in the audience, but it just didn't quite work. So all in all, I'm not really sure what to say about Minecraft. If you really, really like the video game, you might find some amusement in it. If you don't like the video game, there is almost nothing for you here. I don't think that you would get anything out of it. Even a couple of musical numbers that they have are absolutely nothing. And I'm so easily pleased by a musical number. Before this film started playing, the cinema showed the trailers for the live action adaptations of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon, and I feel like I got more emotional depth from those trailers, and I was much more engaged with those trailers, even though I don't care about either of those films, than I did with a Minecraft movie. That is kind of my take on this. Your mileage may vary. Your Minecraft mileage may vary. We had the absolute pleasure of seeing Six, the musical, streamed at our local cinema a few days ago. Now, this musical was written by Lucy Moss and Toby Marlowe, and the show premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe. Shout out to the Edinburgh Fringe in 2017. So, as I said, we saw this at our favourite local cinema, and they do a lot of really cool stuff. They do streamings like opera, ballet, theatre, stuff like that, and occasional musicals as well. And the benefit of that is not only do we get to see things that we may have missed, even if they had come to town, but we also tend to get a little introductory video to provide some context for each of them. And that usually has things like interviews with the cast, backstage footage, stuff like that. Which it did here. And that was great because you actually got to see each of the singers talking about how the show came about, how it started. There was a really cute story that one of them told about the first day that they performed at the Fringe to about 6 people. And then as the news spread via word of mouth, and there's actually like a shot of them performing on the Mile as well, the Royal Mile, more and more people came until the shows were completely sold out. It was such a success story. It was like the hit of that year. So Six is not a history story, but a her story. And so it focuses on the 6 wives of Henry VIII and their individual stories, showcasing each of them as women who were people in their own right, but who are now really only remembered for being like wives of this really unpleasant man. And we get their fates in musical form too, with the lyrics that we start with: divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. And I think it's worth listing them here for posterity in chronological order, because we did just see them. We heard each of their songs. We respect them as people. Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. What was your take on this musical?
So yeah, I had no idea what this musical was. I don't know if it's like because that's primarily like UK based, or I wasn't following the musical world closely enough. But I went in completely blind, and it was absolutely delightful. And it's it's along the lines of something like Hamilton, but it's also its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's really streamlined in that it's just these 6 women on a stage in fabulous costumes. Without any real set,
Mm-hmm.
and they're singing the whole time slash bantering with each other, and it still makes for this really heartfelt, cheeky, and rebellious kind of story. With some banger tunes that are really fun. And like these people, because we were seeing like their last performance that are super seasoned, it just felt like quite sharp and just like fun, like history infused with fun. So if you like musicals, I think you'll love this.
Oh my god. And yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it. If you can see it at all, please do. It's amazing. I have written down very sassy. And I think sassy is the right word for it. It was very sassy. It had a lot of attitude. It was very funny as well. Like, you noted the banter there, and yet the banter between them was really good. There's a lot of Anne Boleyn making jokes about, oh, that's pretty, your life sounds really bad. Yeah, I don't have a head. So that's a repeated running joke that I really enjoyed. And also, they're all fantastic singers as well, completely different voices and different styles. And I thought it was really interesting that it is Hamilton-esque in some ways. I understand why you're saying that, and at the same time, it feels like Hamilton is maybe has a slightly narrower focus in terms of musical stylings and inspirations. Like there's a kind of you get your biggie inspirations for like 10 Dual Commandments and stuff, all the way to kind of more ballad numbers. But here there is some rave music, there's ballads, there's some dance numbers, there's like quirky little pop songs. It seemed to me, as somebody who was a teenager in the early 2000s, you have that kind of pop girly influence. You have the Britney Spears, the Christina Aguilera, coming in. There's this kind of, it's almost like a dirty, we're reclaiming things energy. And yeah, it was just a hell of a good time. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. I have actually listened to the soundtrack so much since then. I have my favorites. But yeah, dangerous songs to dance to in the shower. Too vigorous, I think. But
don't do choreography.
No, oh, I know. I don't think I could. Not in our shower. Maybe we need a bigger shower so that I can do 6 choreography. I'll start a GoFundMe.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me along. I had a lot of fun, and this reminds me to listen to the soundtrack. And I encourage anyone to watch it.
See, I do take you to things blind, and they are not always bad. So does this make up for Love Hurts?
Yes.
Ah, yes, you heard it here first. Okay.